Yeah, good morning. Welcome to Lawn and Landscape Technology Conference. We are super thrilled to be here to envision the future of landscape management with AI. So since 2022, we ensure our presence in this technology conference to share our commitment to the industry. We are here to announce that we are upgraded to top grade. So top grade helps you with bringing more technology so that we are ensuring a profitable and scalable business for your operations. Today, we're going to discuss top grade solutions on how it could be a game changer for you with respect to sharing more insights from data. So we have Brian here to set the stage. I'm inviting Brian.
Thank you all for coming this morning. I got involved with Sashi a little over a year ago on this project, and we're really pleased to be able to bring this to life. I think about my experience in the industry. How many of you thought that AI would enter into the landscape industry? A few of you. How many of you are a little bit apprehensive about AI being in the landscape industry? A few people. I think back to my career back when I was very young, over 45 years ago, when I started in this industry. I was a technology naysayer, right? Technology was stupid. Why do we need technology in this industry? Right, we cut grass, we plant trees. I don't need technology, that's dumb. Right, and so I totally get this concept of, hey, I don't want to use technology, let alone AI for trying to help me improve my business. And so what helped me was, but again, remember that was back in 1990s, way back when. So technology was relatively new, but the funny part is I still hear people today. I was just with a company a few months ago that it's like, yeah, we don't need technology in our business. I think we all need to accept the fact that technology really is going to be how the future of this industry grows, right? And I got introduced right around 2000 into technology, where I opened my mind and said, I'm going to use technology at the company I was at. I helped change the mind of over 500 companies in the fact that they thought technology couldn't do anything to improve their business. Those 500 companies will tell you different today. They'll tell you that technology has changed their business. Today, I work with companies like Sashi's out there trying to look at some of your needs, look at the problems in the industry, and help improve upon those problems and issues. And so it's exciting for me to be a part of technology, thinking back to where I was as a naysayer and where I am today standing here on stage at the tech conference, mind you, talking to an audience like this. So thank you for coming. So moving on to kind of our topic today, and I'm going to try not to steal Sashi's thunder, because really what Sashi has to show is really exciting, right? It's what we're doing at Top Green and how we're working to kind of optimize and improve the operations side of the business. So when you go back to your offices and businesses, I want you to think about three words: plan, optimize, and scale. Plan, optimize, scale. Right? It's kind of the lean management POS system. Right? It's not point of sale, but right? It's how you can improve your business. And so that idea of plan, optimize, and scale can be used in different parts of your business, not just operations, right? We're going to talk about operations today because that's where we're focused, right? That's where our companies are focused. But really, those three words, if you use those three words in maybe working on your with your sales team, with your admin department, right? So plan, optimize, and scale. Why are those three words so important? Because they have a big effect on your labor. Labor is our #1 asset. Labor is our #1 shortage. And they work to improve efficiencies when it comes to labor in the office, for the salespeople, for operations. And so that's why we feel like our product is so important, because we can help in that labor force shortage. We can help you grow without having to maybe add more people, more trucks, more equipment, right? And we'll talk about how that happens. So taking those three words and just expanding upon those a little bit. So we'll start off with plan. So my knowledge in working with 500 companies, planning for operations. So I get a sold job. Sales is excited, they got a new property, nice HOA. So how do I plan for production? How do I give them tools to succeed? Well, because I didn't have a chance to get it added into the computer system, I write the name and address on the bottom of the timesheet. I put the number of hours, maybe, on the timesheet, and I run out to the yard and I tell the crew, hey, you got a new job. Just so you know, you got a new job to do today. It's 10 hours. Make sure you hit those hours. All right? That's planning. And believe it or not, that's planning for probably 80% of the industry today. And so probably not good tools for success, right? Are the guys really going to hit those 10 hours? Did estimating do a good job of estimating those hours, or was it just a wild guess as far as the hours were concerned? Did I use production factors, right? Our product also is going to help sales as well as production. So planning, right? So I got to improve upon that. So people are out there doing very manual. I've heard the term job scripting. I think that term is probably the most prevalent in the industry. Job scripting, right? Going out, getting a sold job. At some point, either an account manager or production manager has to go out to that job site and try to understand how maybe they should best, most effectively, most efficiently maintain this property. And they might take a site plan and draw on that site plan how they want the crews to move around that property, and where they should go, what they should do, and give a simple explanation at some point to the crew of the plan. The problem is that plan is very manual, right? That plan, I was talking to a gentleman from a company out west that said it took him 1.5 years to do all of his job scripting. Well, I might have lost some of those jobs by the time I got them job scripted. And the biggest problem is, in that 1.5 years, did I go over hours on all those jobs because I didn't have a good plan for the crews, right? So job scripting is good, but then where does it go from there? We'll come back to that in a minute. So now let's talk about AI in the landscape industry, right? What if you could take plan and you could have, in 48 hours, have a path of motion that your crews need to take through the property? Have an idea of the most efficient way to service that property: mow, string trim, hard edge, blow. Have the hours ready. You can even have this plan ready for you ahead of the sale, so that sales can use that for their production factors, right? Again, imagine 1.5 years versus 48 hours. If I get a sold job, I get a plan back. Now I can take this plan to the crew before their first time, before I tell them, hey, you got 10 hours to finish this job, hit those hours. I can go out there and say, hey, you got 10 hours to do this job, and here's how you're going to get to 10 hours, right? It's a training tool. So you take that tool and utilize that tool, and again, it's an effective tool. It's a tool that can be used for the crews who are not given a lot of tools besides the mowers and the string trimmers and the blowers that they're utilizing. They might be given an app to clock in and clock out on them, but they're not given a lot of other tools. And so it's difficult for them to succeed. So back to the question I asked about, I did job scripting, now what? Right? Usually that's where it ends, right? The crews are constantly coming over on hours, going over on hours. I don't know why. I gave them a good job script. If I want to find out if they're following that job script, I need to go to the job site. I need to spend time and effort to go to that job site, maybe spend the whole day there, and see how they're performing the work. See if they're following the plan we laid out. I get to the job site, 2 guys are done already. They're standing at the truck. They've been at the truck for over a half hour. They're waiting for just the 3rd guy to come back. 2 guys standing at the truck for a half hour. That's crazy, right? How do we prevent that, right? By planning. We can show you in these plans exactly who should be going out on what piece of equipment when, and when they should be switching to a string trimmer or a blower. How do we do that? Through AI, right? Running millions and millions and millions of possibilities of mower size, skill sets of the crews, number of people on the crews, types of equipment they're using, and develop that plan. So again, in manual job scripting, I can't really go out and visualize what they're doing. With our system, you can, and you can do it from your computer. You can see how well the crew performed to plan because we have the visualization, the means to be able to see their path of motion on this property, when they were changing pieces of equipment, and if they were following that plan. We're not only going to show you that, but we're going to learn from that too and maybe improve upon the original plan that we provided to you, right? Now I really got something, right? I'm not only planning, but I'm following up with that plan. The best plan is a well-executed plan. If I don't execute on a plan, meaning I don't know whether they're following that plan or not, I'm not going to get the benefit of that plan, right? And what's the benefit? The benefit is I'm able to scale. I'm able to scale by potentially, right, because we can save time, adding more revenue without adding more costs. Good possibility we're able to add another job or 2 on a day, week, and increase those revenues. I'm not saying work more hours to get more revenue. I'm saying do more revenue in the same amount of hours, right? But I can't do that without technology today. It's very difficult to do in the manual method. It's really hard to do by just walking out there and saying, here's the 10 hours, hit it, right? Because you know how the crew's going to optimize after you go out there and ball them out every day for 2 weeks, right? They're going to start cutting corners. Now quality's going to start to go down because they keep getting balled out that they got to hit 10 hours, but nobody's showing them how to hit 10 hours, right? And the last thing we want to do is reduce quality, right? What this is going to do is help you increase your consistency on how you're maintaining your properties because you're going to have a very detailed, very understandable plan that you're going to teach and train your crews on. And your customers are going to see that. They're going to say, hey, these guys, man, Mrs. Jones, she's always knows the mower goes by her property at 10:15 on Thursday. If that mower doesn't go by, she's calling somebody and asking why the mower didn't go by at 10:15 on Thursday, right? This is going to help improve quality because the guys aren't going to cut corners, or the production managers aren't going to be out there telling their guys to cut corners to get to hours, right? Because they're getting yelled at too, right? Crap flows downstream, right? Now I can give them something that they can use to really, really be effective and efficient on their job sites, and I can scale my business. I mentioned adding trucks and trailers. Back when I was adding trucks and trailers, because I haven't done that in a long time, it was probably 100 to 120,000, maybe 120 is probably a little high, but I'm sure it got a lot more expensive to add trucks and trailers. If I can grow my business, I'm going to always grow my business through adding crews. But I think the first place to work on growing your business is through optimizing your operations. And we can help you do that. And so the one thing with technology is don't blitz into it. Take it in baby steps, right? I remember the movie What About Bob with Bill Murray, great movie. And there's a book in there called Baby Steps, right? And it was really about just, again, back to when I got into technology. I got in through implementing a software, understanding how it improved my business. Data, right? Data is the most important thing you can have. If you don't have data, you're flying blind. You're in a cockpit with no controls. You have no idea if you're going up or down, east or west, right? Data is critical to growth, scalability of your operations. So bring data, bring technology into your company, and see the impact it's going to have not only on your business and your success of your business, but your people, right? Work-life balance, quality of life, all of that improves. Trust me, I've seen it, like I said, with over 500 companies across the country that have used a POS system to improve their workflow, right? Everything in the company is workflow. We take a lead, we sell it, we win it, we send it to operations, and then it stops. Let's give them better workflow. Let's give them something that they can use to improve the company, to improve the bottom line, so that they can feel that success along with you. So that's my little spiel here today. I'm going to turn it over to Sashi and let him kind of go through the exciting stuff about what we've been working on in this past year since last year's conference.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. So I think we had heard enough from Brian on the importance of planning. I think everyone in this room definitely will appreciate why planning is essential and how crucial it is for a quality-driven execution, right? So quality-driven and profitable execution. So that planning or scripting is very, very essential. And now the question is how we're going to do this scalably, right? So there are many variabilities for planning. So once we talk about planning, so we need to plug in production rates, we need to have the right property measurements with us, we need to select the right type of equipments, we need to size the crew members rightly for the property, and we need to understand the property difficulty. Probably we need to do site walks, we might have to go to site, understand the obstructions in the property, and so on. So in a traditional method, if we have to really do a proper job scripting or job planning, we might have to spend several weeks to come up with a proper plan. So that plan sets us a benchmark for your crew. So we need to talk the nitty-gritties and details, and we need to explain the crew what they can do. So, but that sets the benchmark, and from there, we expect the crew to hit that production time. So say if it's a 2 hours job or a 3 hours job, we expect the crew to hit that every time. And we get a feedback from our software saying that, yes, they did it in 2 hours, or probably they did it in 3 hours. That's what we know. So going forward, how we scale, how we make hundreds of plans a day, right? So it's not scalable for us to go to property or ensure we are plugging in all the variabilities. So I've just listed few variabilities here. There could be more. So weather is impacting, or seasons are impacting. So there is change in frequencies of certain services. So there are several other factors that we need to consider. And if we have to bring plans on a scale which is beyond human capabilities, right? So that's where we are talking about human AI collaboration. So we are not saying the software, the algorithms, or the computer is going to take over. So what we are saying is it's an aiding tool, like a calculator on our desktop, right? It's helping us to do the math for us quickly. So we are talking about millions of combinations to put together. We need to understand the measurements. We need to understand what is the minimal path the crew can take in a property. We need to understand what equipment rightly fits this property so that we can produce max. So again, this is not squeezing our operations. It is going optimal. So I'll just put a scenario here. Even if we save 3 minutes per crew member in a day, it translates to 1,000 hours in a year. So we are not saying 1,000 hours of savings on the labor. We are saying you have 1,000 more hours for production. So that's how it translates for us. So what we need to understand is there are several variabilities, several combinations here. We need to run this, and we need to bring our human experience on top of it and train the model so that we got a very proper, accurate, scientific job plan, right? So that's where Top Green is bringing in Crew Intel as a solution, Crew Planner as a solution, where we are making job sequencing or job planning an easy way, right? So it's a simple tool that we aid your operations team or a production team to come up with such plans. So once we know your property, once we know the scope that you need to perform, the maintenance scope that you need to perform in this property, once we have the measurements, based on the measurements and the services that you need to provide, we can come up with the optimal path that your crew has to navigate within your property, and also we bring in the production factors in, we bring in the right equipments that you're using in, and we evaluate ourselves with a click of a button. So we can, this kind of plans, which will also help you sequence your operations. So you will have a Gantt chart produced and as a result, where you know exactly who has to start what, when, and how they are sequenced. So we can balance, we can do a crew load balancing as well, so they are efficiently spending their time without any questions in their mind, right? So that's the whole point of getting this plan. This plan has to improve over a period of time, for sure. So because there are a lot of variabilities that we are talking about, and what algorithms are helping us here is to come up with optimal paths and also making sure we are meeting all the required essential rules that we need to follow when we enter the property. So this is a very sophisticated tool which is aiding your production team and operation team with a simple click of a button where you get these plans out. So with this, we can actually cultivate a habit of making more plans. So today, what we do is we got measurements, we got production rates, we plug in, we know that it's a 2 hours or 3 hours job, and we stick to it. And we are not sure whether we are wasting time there, or we are not sure whether the crews are finishing it quickly, or they are waiting for or doing this job because it's more cumbersome to really work on the property because there are a lot of obstacles. They need to cross a pond. They need to go across the building. They are spending a lot of time there. So that visibility is not there for us, and we can only do justice a little bit because physical and human capabilities are limited geospatially when we enter a property. This could be more scientific and helping the production team. So the other side of the thing is what we wanted to talk about is how much we know about the actual production time, right? So production factors are very, very essential for planning, so because we use them for evaluating the total estimates. But how far we know about our production time, right? And also, how do we ensure the quality of completion? So we have our crew leaders going around the property, making sure that the crew is completing the job as expected. And how do we know the crew is using the right equipment? So whether they're using a 72-inch deck, or they're using a 60-inch deck, or they're equipped with the right equipment, they're carrying it on a day. So how we ensure that they're using the right equipment to the property? How do we ensure that without any questions in their mind, they are navigating the right way within the property? How they are moving from within the work areas? And how many times our crew revisits the property to meet the quality, right? So, and reporting. So there's a lot of communication established to and forth with the crew leaders and the management to report the job completion, right? So it's all cumbersome. We have very less visibility of what happens once the crew reaches the property. We all know that they have reached the property. We have GPS trackers on the trucks. We know they do check-in, check-outs. We know how much time they're taking. But what we don't know is what's happening inside the property, whether they're using right equipment, whether they're taking optimal path. All this visibility is completely missing at this point of time. So that's where we are bringing in Crew Intel. Crew Intel is all about real-time visualization. So what I mean by real-time visualization is we are onboarding your crew with a safety vest. So this safety vest is a smart gear which has the capability to capture live updates of your location, of your crew's location, which will translate into production data. So when your crew navigate in your property, we can know what is the path of motion they're taking, how much production they're establishing, how many work areas they're completing at what rate. So we get a lot of production insights from the property. We exactly know the production factors that they are achieving at the property. So end of the day, it's translating into your actual production factors. You have the quality of work visible to you so that you can avoid your crew leaders visiting the sites again to ensure that they are meeting. If any communication has to be done in real time, we can do because this data transferred to your dashboards is quite fast. So every second, with less than 3 feet accuracy, we get the feedbacks. So we consolidate this information and we have this visibility established to your account management team. So this way, you're ensuring that you have the right plan in place and you have the right visibility of your crew in your property, right? So it goes hand in hand. We can improve the plans. At the same time, we can train our crews looking at their activities, or we can improve the plans vice versa, right? So we need to see what's happening at the site. So whether they are navigating around the pond or the building properly, whether taking the shortest route, or there is any other opportunity to do this job better, or do we need to use a bigger equipment to produce faster? So all these things are very much visible because we have quantifiable data that we are crowdsourcing from your crew on a daily basis. Day in, day out, week in, week out, we have this production data with us, which will translate into a really powerful data set. So I want to take you to the future how this data can be. So I think everyone in this room are very familiar with GPT models, ChatGPT models. So now imagine you have this production data sitting with you for several weeks. Now you can really start querying this data. You can ask questions to this data, and you can get more insights. So imagine we have this case where we are asking whether you can suggest a proper way to go across the pond. So what we are essentially asking is there a way for us to navigate this property with the shortest route, right? So because we don't know geospatial constraints, so we are throwing the problem to the computer. We are outsourcing the job to the algorithms. The algorithms are working for us and telling us, yes, this is possible, and we can do it in 11 minutes, which will increase the overall efficiency by 4% for your entire crew, because there are 4 people who are doing the same thing, right? So this is an amazing thing to realize how potential this data that you're collecting can translate to. So one more example, if we go into future, we can actually go and directly ask whether the status of your crew. So whether your crew through crew 3, for example, and a given property has completed the assigned task. Because you have the real-time data sitting with you, you can query it, and you get a feedback. So this is a third example. So again, if you want to switch your operations to battery operated equipments, right? So and you want to know how much savings you can do. So you can really go and query your production team, production data, and ask for this information, and you'll get a feedback saying that, yes, this is possible, and you will save $2,500 if you do this. So what I'm trying to say here is this: the data that you're capturing day in, day out from your production team is a very powerful data set that you can own. End of the day, it translates into several business cases for you in the future, and also it helps you in your day-to-day operations at this point of time. Yeah, I think we are super thrilled about this. We definitely think that this human-AI collaboration, working together with tools like AI, is going to be a game changer for this industry. And we do have a lot of scope here to source the operations data. Operations is key, labor is key. We spend a lot of money there. And for some reason, we are unable to bring in technology to manage the labor, which is a very crucial part of our operations, right? So we believe technology like IoT, which we are doing, it's Internet of Things. We are making the West connected to the cloud, ensuring that the data is coming back, and ensuring that we have the production data and we have the visibility of your crew, and also bringing powerful algorithms to plan your jobs is essentially a game changer for you folks. So this is something that you can work towards bringing it on a staged basis. Slowly, we need to start on critical crews, and you will understand the possible improvements that we can do.
Any questions in the audience?
Yeah.
What's it cost?
That's an easy question. I'll answer you.
So the vests are collecting the data, and that's what's creating gives the AI the feedback and the information it needs in order to generate this information, right? So it's specific to each company and each crew, and it's not just random general information based on.
Yes.
Right? So each company would have its own.
Yes.
Essentially.
So what we do is we go to the specific of the crew member, right? So it goes to a crew member. Every crew member will have this vest, and we tag all the equipments the crew are using. So we exactly know a 72-inch deck was used, or a 0-ton mower was used, or the push-behind cart was used, and we exactly know how much time they take to complete the task they were assigned. So it's very specific to the company, to the crew member, to the equipment.
Yeah, and initially, just to expand upon that a little bit, we are using, right, in our planning, we're using very generic things, right? So mow rates, widths of mower, types of mowers, timing that we have as far as studies that we've gotten as far as timing to do linear feed, to do string trimming, blowing, et cetera. So in the initial plan, right, before we learn about your operations, right, you're going to get a plan gets produced on what we believe to be, right, the most effective, most efficient way to maintain that property. Now we learn from that, right, because again, each company is different, each crew is different, right? We have really good crews, we have crews that aren't so good, right? We want to make those aren't so good crews better crews, right? And so we can do that with learning how they're doing things, how they're performing, and then training them, using the tool to train them to improve upon their efficiencies out at those job sites. So that's the critical part of it. The other side is, again, I can give you production numbers. A lot of the production numbers that have been provided over the years in this industry are just somebody was out with a stopwatch at some point and came up with some production numbers, right, and said, here's what you use. Even mower manufacturers, right, they take a mower out on a nice flat property and go back and forth, and they say you can mow, 50,000 square feet with this 60-inch mower in an hour. Well, what if I got trees? What if I got edging? What if I got curves? What if I got all this stuff, right? So we can provide you, right, estimating production factors that are very specialized to your business, right? So that might give you a competitive advantage when it comes to estimating jobs, alongside of a Brightview or somebody like that. So,
Yeah.
Is there any way to tell whether or not a crew member has taken their vest off? Is there notification? So let's say there's somebody who, for whatever reason, takes it off throughout the day and forgets to put it back on. You're losing that data.
it'll be sitting there, and because we are actually breadcrumbing, right? So if a vest is sitting in the truck, well, there's the vest in the truck. They went out with a 3-man crew, and only 2 vests are moving around the property, right? And
Yeah.
one sitting in the truck.
So the vests are quite real time. So we're talking about 1-second resolution data. So we exactly know what's happening with the vest. Yeah.
I got a question. How long does it take to train the individual model per company? Like, how long are you estimating in time to go in there, train, learn the specific procedures, properties?
Yeah. So that's an interesting question. So since there are several variabilities here, so what we do is we approach this problem to start with rule-based, because to fix the boundaries, and then it's your company's signature. So because you might have a style to handle. So then we need to adopt getting inputs from you. So we have input sequencing in our algorithms where we source inputs from you to understand how you operate. That's the second step. Third step is we understand how you operate. From there, we can start training. So to put it short, maybe it's a 3 months or 4 months affair if we can work with, it's used regularly, and we are training the models. Yeah.
Is it like a cell phone plan for every single piece of tracking equipment? Like every vest has got a cell phone?
Something like that, to answer his point. Yeah, so there is a subscription involved for the vest. And the planning module can be a pay-as-you-use model. So depending on, because there are a lot of variabilities here. If you're doing a 100-acre property, it's a different thing. You might do a HOA, it's a different thing. So we are going on 2 different models if you're asking on the pricing model. So one is subscription for the vest, and for planning, we go pay-as-you-go.
Okay, so for a typical 4-man crew with, say, 10 pieces of, or 8 pieces of 2-stroke equipment, plus mowers, you're talking, what, 15 pieces of subscription per crew?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, and have you any idea of cost for that on a?
Yeah, definitely. I can share more about the cost. We are at booth number 533. We will discuss more on the cost. But just to give you a gauge, we are working on subscription models like $20 a vest for low volumes. Obviously, the cost of hardware is scalable. So when we scale, the cost optimizes for sure. So if we are going for full crew onboarding, we can reduce the cost. So there is custom pricing around. So that's why I'm a bit hesitant to speak pricing. But just to give you a gauge, for low volumes, it's around $20 per vest.
Yeah, and you're not going to pay for the equipment, right? The beacons that are necessarily going on the equipment, that's included in the subscription model, right? And so whether they got 10 pieces of equipment, 12 pieces of equipment, 8 pieces of equipment, that's not going to really change. It's really the number of vests that we're providing. So if it's a 4-man crew, it might be a little more than a 3-man crew, right? Because I got an additional vest on that crew. You had a question? Go ahead. You can ask. I'll yell it out.
For snow season,
Yeah.
how well does it handle
Yeah. So the spec is minus 20 degrees. Oh, sorry, I'm not telling in Fahrenheit, it's in degrees. So it's minus 20 to plus 60. So it can definitely go for the winter season. So it'll. But if you're talking about extreme winter, like in Michigan, so probably when you think about it. So for now, so in degrees Celsius, it's minus 20 to plus 60. Yeah.
When did you launch the crew intel, like the vests? And then follow-up question, how do you deal with pushback on staff that don't want to wear it or don't want to be tracked constantly?
Yeah.
Tracked?
So,
Wait a minute, we're not tracking them.
yeah, I think this is a very standard objection that we get from, it's more about how you see this data. So it's more production rates, and you're asking your crew to walk less, spend time wisely. So we are training here. We are understanding how your crew is performing. So it's more production-related, production hours. It's a cost saving. You can incentivize your crew if they're performing good. So there are many ways to put this up to the crew, because I see some solutions where people give bonuses if they do the job quick, right? So this is more help where it's quantifying you and helping you here.
Yeah, you're always going to have, obviously, that question, right? I think it's all about, again, it's always all about messaging. That was the with Aspire 2, you had to deliver the message right to the company in order to get buy-in from the company, right? The messaging is, right, we're going to help improve the way you're able to do your job every day. We're not going to just come out and yell at you every week because you're missing hours. We're going to help you improve, and you're going to help us with that improvement, because we're going to be able to get real-time visualization, and again, try to stay away from the T word, right? Because that's what scares people, right? They think, right, oh, you just want to track me. No, we don't care what you're doing off-site. We care what you're doing on-site. We want you to see what you're doing and the way you're moving around your job sites. That's the information that we're going to provide to you, right? Where they get there, that's how they get there, right? That's your truck GPS unit that you look at and see if they're taking the right route to get to their job sites. Yeah.
Is your goal to eventually be able to offer benchmarks? So
Yes.
depending on job size, route size, crew size, company size, that you would be able to then say, this is what good looks like for a job similar to this?
Yeah, like any software that's like accumulating data, right? We feel at some point, right, we're going to have, right, hopefully industry standards regionally, locally, whatever it might be, right? Those production factors that were published in 1992, we can throw those away and maybe start using some that are a little more current, right? The other thing is, right, we can take that data and again look at even maybe how manufacturers, how mowers operate, and tell you what mowers are operating better and you're more efficient with, right? I think once you have that data, the whole benchmarking, it's kind of endless what you can do with it. And I think it's important, right? It's not about sharing like what your company is doing versus their company, but it's about providing information, knowledge to the industry, so that, again, this is all about how can we improve the industry. And that's why I continue on this road with technology, because I think there's so much more we can do in continuing to improve. One of them is providing benchmarks and data and information, right? That's the side benefit of all of this, right? So thank you for asking that question.
Please stop by their booth. Go see the folks at Top Green over on the trade show floor.